Oh, that's terrific. And it's along the lines of, here at Employment for All, we believe that everyone can be successful with the right supports and connecting the young adults up with the right supports, because they're very different, the needs and services that people had when they were youth, and then adults have a very different set of expectations, a different set of needs. So really, the outcomes have been tremendous when it's been really the right resources focused on the right frame of mind. So how do you see the services developing, and how would you like to see them go forward?
Well, there's two models right now that exist in the state. One is right here in Boston. It's called the SPOT. It's at 76 Amory Street in Roxbury, Mass.
I want to go there. It's the spot to be.
The spot to be for young adults, and they do education and employment, independent living skills, housing.
The prep program's there?
The prep program is there. It's a great facility for young adults.
Little drop-in center. They got at least 20 computers and a nice TV, Nintendo Wii. A lot of good people hang out there, kitchen.
And that's a terrific program, the PrEP program, which really focuses on young adults who experience psychiatric disability within the first critical points of diagnosis and helps them get back to work and back to school. So that's a wonderful program.
That's in Metro Boston. We'd like a program like that in every part of the state.
They actually helped us make one of the YouTube videos. It was strictly people from the PrEP program.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. There's another one in Framingham that Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is supporting, and they're doing similar multi-service kind of job finding and education finding and network development and kitchens, and they even have washer and dryers in the back room for kids. So they're relating to the total needs of the population. I think we'd like to see those in all parts of the state.
That would be fantastic to really have all the supports that the young adults need to be successful. Real life skills, and it's taught in a really hands-on, tangible way to help people move forward.
Exactly.
And still have the drop-in center community aspect of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the community piece is huge, because young adults want to be able to feel like they have people to relate to, that they aren't that far out of the norm, that they are unique individuals, but there are other people who experience the same challenges. I mean, there's such a relief when you can connect with someone and say, wow, you felt that way too. I felt that way. That happened to you. That happened to me. You know, like, want to go to the movies?
As well as it's kind of that stage in people's life where they're leaving the preset community that's established for them and kind of starting to establish their own community in a fuller way than they most likely did earlier in their life.
Exactly. Defining their identity.
And some that we found, like at the, Matt invited me to the statewide council meeting last week, and one of the young adults there said, you know, they wanted to drop out for a while, and they didn't want to be in school, and then they decided they wanted to go back and finish and get their GED and go on to the Museum of Fine Arts school. And I thought, now, we need the flexibility to be able to support that.
Yes.
And a lot of the kids in that room were talking about flexibility around learning and education, and how do we put that into our programs and our services. I think that we've discovered across the board with our work with GAO and with this Policy Academy that we're going to be going to, that over 40% of young adults who have emotional needs and mental health problems in Massachusetts do not graduate from high school, do not go on.
That's a sad statistic.
It is a very sad statistic, and a statistic we're going to change. And so we're going to go down to Annapolis. Matt's coming with 5 other folks and from across the state, and with 5 other states, and we're going to try to tackle this and figure out how do we change the outcomes in reality. How do we really do it? And I know we have lots of budget cuts and lots of problems, but education has been the hallmark of Massachusetts, and we need to make that true for all our population.
Absolutely. And as we know, everyone can be successful with the right supports, and it's identifying which supports young adults need. Because often people will give this global response, like, this is what we need to do, but it really has to be specific and tangible and geared to the learning styles of young adults with psychiatric disabilities.
Goals.
And their goals, absolutely in line with what they want.
Yes.
I often say to people, if your manager says do this, and you say, oh, okay, but if the manager says, how should we approach that problem? How do you feel? You know, you feel much more involved and much more, it resonates with you if you come up with the solutions. And that's how we have to approach young adults, to say, what are your solutions? What are your goals? How do we work together to achieve them?
I think another piece that we need to also be aware of and support is to encourage private industry and encourage the connection of private industry with our young adults, and to do what we need to do to make the environments, as Matt says, the welcoming environments, so that we can have programming and we can have services that integrate young adults into the community so that they're a part of and they feel a part of. Right now, you know, we have been separated from, and I know we've lost a lot of our employment programs, but in some ways, I think that's a wake-up call for the rest of Massachusetts business industry to say, come up to the plate, you need to now offer our young adults jobs.
Right. So I think that's absolutely a good segue in terms of, as we wrap up, to say that we need to find out ways for more and more people to be involved. So I'd like to thank our audience very much for tuning in to Employment for All. I'd like to thank Ann and Matthew very much for tuning in, for being our guests, and for sharing this wonderful information with our viewers. And I'd like to say to our audience that it's important to think about what you want to do in terms of, we ask everyone on Employment for All to think about who they could reach out to, who they could support to help that person be more successful, to think about how do we link more young adults into education, how do we link more community resources in order to help them be successful. So I'd like to say thank you very much. This is Kimberly Bissett saying have a great day from Employment for All.